So we need to be a bit more strategic about how we're planning things, not just with our sequencing, our cadences, our openers, but who we're actually targeting. Because everyone's going after the new clients. They're told you need to get more work in, you need to get new clients, you need to get new jobs. So everyone goes straight to new BD. They open up their list of prospects and just start going and start hammering it. But that's not always the best way to do it, right? Over the last few years, I've spoken to a lot of recruiters, and the conversation that I have more often than not is around business development. Whether it's the fact that they're struggling with business development, they're not getting in enough new clients, they're not winning enough work, they're not doing enough activity, or they're just getting very bored of doing the same thing over and over again and getting rejected over and over again. And their resilience and their motivation is being drained call by call. And they start off every week super excited and energetic and ready to go. And by the time it gets to Friday, they cannot bear to pick up the phone anymore. And that's not a good position to be in, right? That's going to have a knock on effect of not winning any new clients, not winning new business, not winning any business at all. And therefore, why are you doing it, right? So we need to be a bit more strategic about how we're planning things, not just with our sequencing, our cadences, our openers, but who we're actually targeting. Because everyone's going after the new clients. They're told you need to get more work in, you need to get new clients, you need to get new jobs. So everyone goes straight to new BD. They open up their list of prospects and just start going and start hammering it. But that's not always the best way to do it, right? Because how long does it take to win over a new client? How often do you pick up the phone, first time trying to speak to somebody, you get hold of them, have a great conversation, you sign terms, you get a job on, and you're ready to go? Very, very rarely, right? It takes multiple touch points. There's more options for them out there now, so you have to win over out of a huge pool of people that they could choose from. So it's not always the most effective way, but we do need new clients because if we want to grow our desk, that's a really good way of doing that. It's a really good way of getting in new, good clients so that we can maybe get rid of some of the old clients that we don't really want to work with, or ones that are drying up, or actually they're all maxed out and we still want to grow our desk or grow a new market. So we need new clients. So that pot is really good to focus on, but it's not your quick win more often than not. And it's definitely not the only way to do it. The other pot you can go to is your current clients. So obviously this only works if you've got current clients. If you're a brand new recruiter and you don't have any, then you're not going to be able to do this one. So you're going to have to stick with the new clients, unfortunately. But your current clients, have you maxed them out to their full potential? Are they a one or two client when they could be a five or 10? So are you only placing one or two people with them a year when actually you could be doing 5 or 10 placements a year? Have you successfully grown out that account? Are there other people in that business that you could work with and get jobs from? Are there more departments that do the same thing or different regions that you could work with? Because yes, you might have a really good relationship with one of them, one hiring manager, and you're doing well with them. But what about if they had 3 or 4 different managers and you worked really well with all of them? You're really grown out that account, and you could potentially be quadrupling your billings there just from that one account, right? So it's really key to focus on these current clients because there's probably stuff going on in that business that you're not aware of, and you're not trying to find out and you're not trying to expand it because you've got them as a client and they're giving you jobs every now and again and you're happy with that because you know you're going to fill it. Great. But what if you put a bit more time and effort into them? There's somebody I used to work with who used to call it making them a bit more sticky, getting them to stick closer to you, be more in partnership with you, right? Rather than just transactional, be more relational, be involved in their day to day running, right? Giving them little bits of knowledge and advice that you've picked up along the way, talking to all the other businesses and all the other candidates, really making an impact so that they want to be near you. They want you to help them because that's how you're going to start growing. Because if you're doing that for one of their hiring managers and they're saying, well, why is your team doing so well? They say, oh, I'm just hiring good people. I'm getting them from this guy or this girl, this recruiter. Then say, well, send their number my way. Like I need some people, and you can start spreading that way. And that's great if you're having an advocate in the business of somebody that you've proven you can do really well with, and they're then selling that you to everybody in their business. That's great, BD. So making sure that we're having regular conversations that aren't just a chat about what they're doing at the weekend, but are about business, about their plans, about challenges they're facing, things that you're seeing that might help them. So any trends that you're seeing or any bits of information that you might have picked up along the way, just to really help them and be more knowledgeable about the industry that they're in, because you're talking to everybody, whereas they're not. They're in their own little bubble. They might speak to people here and there, but who's going to tell them stuff, right? They're a competitor. So being that person that can give them all of this information, this knowledge, they're going to give back. They're going to reciprocate. So then that's your second pot, is your current clients. The third pot that I always talk to people about, it's one that just gets forgotten, and it's the lapsed clients. Now, when you say that, most people think, well, why would I want to contact them? That's people I didn't want to work with, or it didn't work out well, or they don't want to work with me. Sometimes it is, yes. Other times it's not. Other times it's just a client that you lost touch with because you weren't looking after your current client pot, right? So they just fell off. And there was nothing wrong. Like you had a good working relationship, you did some work for them, you filled some roles, they were happy with them, the people are still there. But you lost contact with them and they started working with somebody else. Or they haven't. Or it could be that actually your contact left, so you were struggling to get hold of anybody, you didn't know who to approach, so you just left it. So there's always a good reason to get back in touch with these people, because even if it was a bad relationship and something did go wrong, their situation may have changed. It may be different people that you need to contact now, and those people have gone. It may be that actually they've forgotten completely about what happened before, and they have no idea what's going on. And they're struggling. They need people. They need your service. So it's always good to touch base. And if you do find out actually, that they aren't the type of person I want to work with or that wants to work with me, fine. We know that. Put them on a back burner. Give them a call again in 6 months. See what happens. So you've got your three different pots to focus on, and it's really good to kind of mix these up because, as I said before, keeps your motivation up. It keeps the interest up, but it helps to grow the desk much quicker and much better in the different times. Like if you're ahead of the ball and like you've got this month in the bag, you've got next month pretty much sorted, and you focus on the month after that, you can spend more time doing your new client stuff. Or actually, if you've got just brought lots of new clients in, you can start focusing on your current part and really focusing on them, giving them a little bit more time and a bit more love and a bit more energy. Or it might be that actually your current clients, you're pretty good with them, they're doing really well, you're expanding those, you've brought in a few new people recently. Let's just dip into that lapsed pot. Let's see what's going on there. Is there any quick wins I can get in there to help me over the next couple of months? So have a look at what your situation is and have a look at which pot you want to go in. Because quite often people focus on that new pot and they're just calling the same people over and over again. And it feels like they're flogging a dead horse. And then that's why their productivity drops. That's why their activity drops, because they don't think that there's anybody else to call. But there's always somebody else to call, right? Just move to a different pot. Go to your current, go to your lapsed. Just cycle through those and then go back to your new pot once a little bit of time has gone. A week or so, maybe a month has gone. You can contact some of those people again. So that's how you can kind of keep your BD a bit more interesting. You can stop having the same conversations because you've got multiple different conversations that can happen now. How you can keep growing your desk, not just with new clients, but bringing old ones back or expanding those current ones. And it just gives you a really good touch and a feel for the whole market, because you should be covering a huge portion of the market if you're covering these three different pots. So start grouping up your pots, get your new clients, your prospects in there, get your current ones, and get your laps. You might see that actually your current pot is smaller than you thought it was, and your laps pot is actually huge, and you think, actually, I need to win some of these back, or why are they in there? Actually, I haven't spoken to them. So With the lapsed, we're talking anyone that you haven't worked with for sort of 6 to 12 months or more. So if it's contract, if it's 3 to 6 months and you haven't placed anyone with them, they're potentially going to be lapsed. Depending on what their situation is, you might understand why. Um, if it's 6 months plus, that's going to be your perm stuff. If you haven't placed anyone or got anything in the last 6 months with them or more, they'd be in your lapsed pot because we want to keep in touch. So they might be a one or two. So they're only going to give you a job every sort of 6 to 12 months. But is there an opportunity for more jobs? So keeping them in that current pot, keep talking to them all the time because they're still a current client. You are still placing with them. They don't have any other jobs. You're keeping them in there. But start filling up these three different pots and see who's in where. Is there anything that shocks you? Is there anyone that actually you're like, oh, damn, I forgot about them completely? Or is there a pot that you're like, actually, yeah, I need to spend more time here because there's so much opportunity here that I'm not taking up. So there's your three different pots that you need to focus on for BD to keep it more interesting, get more success, quick wins and long-term wins, and to expand accounts. So give that a go. Love to hear how you get on.